But I want to talk about a guy that seems to be getting overlooked. And we heard a lot about Trent Sherfield coming in. But Khalil, and I'm going to say his name right, Khalil, and that's the right way to say it. Stop saying Khalil. Just found that out today. What's going on? Why is this guy being overlooked? He looked fantastic when he got time last year. We know he has fantastic hands. He can run great routes. He's been working with Eric Moulds in the offseason. I hope you all know who Eric Moulds is. 6'2", 220, one of the best Bills wide receiver. Unfortunately, only got to play with Jim 1 year. But and Moulds, if you see him today, I mean, I'm thinking, hey, get out there on the field, Eric, because that dude,
Yeah.
oh my God, he's still looking fantastic. But I mean, I got to bring this up because I'd love to see Khalil. I'm going to say Shakir because Khalil's a little hard to say. I'm going to call him Shakir. Shakir, I want to see more of him. I mean, he's got great hands. Look, we had Tony on our show, right? Tony went to Boise State. He's an alumni. He just said when we drafted him, he said, oh my God, you guys got an amazing player there. We saw it on the field as well. He's always that acrobatic guy. Now, he had that one catch or the one drop last year. Otherwise, he's fantastic. I mean, he was getting open. He's got great hands. He can make those acrobatic catches. Jake, what's your thoughts on him? Why is he getting overlooked? Why is no one talking about this young man?
Actually, Timmy and I were having a conversation about Khalil Shakir the other day, and it sounded like he was actually dropping a few passes in camp. And it does worry me a little bit. I think it's just one of those things, right? He's a 5th-round pick, so already you're at a disadvantage because naturally, as a late-round pick, you're not going to get as much time as a guy that you draft early on. Although the highest drafted receiver on this team, believe it or not, is still Gabe Davis, which is absolutely bonkers to me. I do think that there's still a lot of hope for this guy. I think, what he showed us towards the end of the season last year was fantastic. He can make plays. Anytime he touched the football, he was making a play. I mean, it was very noticeable and great to see. And I think a lot of people were on the Khalil Shakir train, even thinking that he would eventually be our starting slot receiver. So then, things get mixed up a little bit because we go and sign Trent Sherfield, and then we sign Deontay Hardy, and he signs a big deal, probably got overpaid, if anything.
Yeah.
And I think there's now an expectation that those guys have to play. So now you talk about Khalil Shakir, and, I'm not sure what the repetitions look like in camp, but it sounds to me like Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield have been the two dudes who are getting all the time there. So it's tough right now. I think he needs to make a really big impression in the preseason, which I'm confident he will, because he did it last year as a rookie. So why wouldn't he again this year? He should be more polished, if anything, right? So I'm hopeful. I'm wishful. I do think he makes the 53-man. And, I know I've heard some stories about the drops, and I've heard some people saying that he's definitely going to be one of those surprise cuts. But I have faith that the Buffalo Bills will keep Khalil Shakir, and he will have a role on this offense.
I'm kind of surprised you're saying that because I haven't heard, and I do like Timmy. Timmy, by the way, has been shouting out every other podcast out there.
Yeah.
And he's giving a shout, so they're going to be happy to hear that. But I haven't heard. I listen to a lot of those as well because those, especially the ones that have access to training camp where they're there, they're reporting about it right after the session. I haven't heard that about him, but I do want to say that in the description of the video, I have both. It was, what was the name of the channel, Jake? I asked you earlier, but it was with Steve Tasker and his co-host.
Oh, yeah, One Bills Live. Yep.
One Bills Live, and I have the links in the description of the video to both conversations, the one with Eric Moulds and how he was training with Shakir in the offseason, and then he also they had Shakir in the booth, and they were talking to him, and he also mentioned the work with Eric Moulds. And it's pretty impressive. They're not too long. They're like 10, 15-minute videos. So check them out. And, working with Eric Moulds, you can only get better. So I think people are sleeping on him. Again, we'll see. Like you said, I do believe Deontay Hardy got overpaid. And when you pay someone that much money, he's going to get a lot of play time. Obviously, we know our boy, Dalton Kincaid. I say our boy already, but Dalton Kincaid is going to be out there being that slot receiver is what we think a lot of times. And he's been getting a lot of press as well, a lot of good press. It looks like they're running a lot of plays in training camp using Kincaid, which is exactly what we want to hear. Timmy, your thoughts on Shakir?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was talking to Jake about that, and I was looking actually on the Bills message board stadium wall, and it's kind of like a tale of two stories or different views. So one person may say, "Oh, he dropped the ball," but then another person said, "Well, Cam Lewis made a great play on that ball too." So it's kind of seen different ways. I think some people have it out for Khalil Shakir, and some people don't. It depends on what who you like and who you don't like. Um, but honestly, it's funny because when it comes to wide receiver, you want to be heard. You want to be talked about by reporters. It's not a position like offensive line. You don't want to hear anything about them. You don't want to hear anything about your offensive line when it comes to reports. Wide receivers, you want to hear about them all the time. And it's funny because you really aren't hearing, honestly, I'm not hearing too much about the wide receivers at all when it comes to
In
this training
general.
camp. Like you hear about like Stephon Diggs being Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis, he's showing up again in camp again. Hopefully, he can translate that into the season. But I haven't heard anything about Deontay Hardy at all. Trent Sherfield's kind of like you haven't heard too much about him either. So it's kind of questioning about what about these backup quarterbacks? How are they throwing the ball to these guys? Maybe that's the reason why they're not standing out at all because I don't think Kyle Allen and Matt Barkley. Well, Matt Barkley, you kind of know who Matt Barkley is, but Kyle Allen, I don't think he's been tossing the ball that well either. I haven't heard too much good things about the quarterbacks when it comes to passing besides Josh Allen. So maybe it's a situation. I think the big thing with Shakir right now, just because, like we mentioned, you've already invested a lot of money into Hardy. Sherfield's come in as kind of like the darling when it comes to wide receivers. Shakir's going to have to show something on special teams. Be a gunner. Maybe you're not returning punts or kicks because I don't think he has that type of speed, but you're going to have to be a gunner to make this team, I think, at this point. They have Shorter that's coming in. I know he was playing pretty good on special teams when it came to Florida. And the indication of the Bills right now bringing in Andy Isabella is they're kind of looking for more speed, and Shakir's not really known for his speed. He's known for his route running. So he's kind of right now looking from afar. You got to do something else besides being good at catching the ball right now. You got to show up on special teams because it sounds like the Bills are trying to bring in more speed into the competition, especially at wide receiver right now. But overall, I think he still makes the team just because he does have those sure hands and he is a good route runner. And Stephon Diggs, that's what he's known for, is his route running and his good hands. So hopefully, Shakir can translate that into like the preseason games. We can see him more.
I'm gonna say what Jake always says. Check out the film. Check out the film in the description of the video. Watch those links. Watch the exercises he's doing with Moulds, the quickness that he has, and all that they've been talking about. It's 90% mental. And Jake, you said he was the 5th rounder, but a lot of experts had him at 3rd round. Right?
Oh yeah,
they're
I mean, we got an absolute
earlier.
steal there. Yeah.
So I mean, the wide receiver room is stacked, but I think he makes it for sure. I'm a big fan of Justin Shorter, right? I mean, that dude, when you're 225 and you're 6'4", I'm all about that. So I'll take that all day. And he runs a 4.5. Are you kidding me? That man better see the field sometime during this year. We saw what the Bengals are able to do with those big wide receivers, and I do love the fact that the Bills are getting bigger. But I'm telling you, I'm not giving up on that young kid. I saw a lot of promise last year, and I hope to see it again. I think he gets out there more than we saw him last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to point this out too. I think, we talk about speed, but lateral quickness is also huge, especially at the slot position. And there's not many dudes on this team that have the same lateral quickness that Khalil Shakir has, like in and out of his breaks. His pivot route, I saw him run a pivot route the other day, and it was like, wow. I mean, it looked like Cole Beasley-esque almost, and it was like great to see. So, the sure-handedness and the ability to be laterally quick is so damn important in the slot, and I think that's a really good spot for him. I don't think he's an outside guy. I think he can be, if he needs to be, but I think the slot is a more natural fit for him for sure.
Yeah, they were talking.
Preseason's going to show more.
Yeah,
I think once we get into the preseason, we'll see more of him. I think just going off reporters are only focusing on some people, and we're just kind of looking from afar.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's so many narratives right now. I mean, they have jobs to do too, so it's like you got to just start throwing stuff at a wall at some point and just hoping you get some clicks right now. So I get it. Look at us. This is what we're doing right now. We're talking about it. None of us have been to training camp. We haven't seen it in person, So obviously it'd be good to get perspective from someone who's actually been there and seen it in person. But also, we can only really go off of what everyone has seen and heard. So, let's get to August 12th and see what happens then.
Yeah, Shakir definitely doesn't want to be pigeonholed as just a slot guy. Both him and Mould said that he can play on that outside if he has to.
For sure.
And so we'll see. Good points on that.